Hello, Year 4, and welcome back to another week for your English lessons this week. Now that we've finished reading The Sheep Pig, and I hope you enjoyed reading that just as much as I did, we're now moving on to a different type of writing for a different genre. And this week, we're going to be looking at eyewitness reports, and we're going to be writing a report based around a very extraordinary event that I'm sure you may know of from something that you may have read. So, moving into this first session then for today, the term eyewitness, what does that mean? Just have a think. Where have you heard of the word eyewitness before? Yeah, that's right. An eyewitness is somebody that will have seen something happen or will have watched something that other people may need to know about. Okay, that's what an eyewitness means. So, what sorts of events might occur where an eyewitness might be asked to describe what they've happened? Why would an eyewitness need to write a report, do you think? Let's have a look and see. So perhaps for a crime, an eyewitness may be asked to write down what they've seen to help the police, perhaps, if they've witnessed a crime. It might be of a natural disaster. So something terrible that may have happened naturally in the world. People may have witnessed it and maybe sharing what they've seen with other people who didn't witness it. An accident that may have happened. Perhaps an eyewitness needs to be able to explain to paramedics or doctors or nurses exactly what might have happened in an accident. And another example that I thought of was perhaps an amazing example of bravery. So, when somebody's been incredibly brave, an eyewitness might be able to share what they've seen there as well. So, for this first session today, we're going to be looking at a number of different eyewitness reports so that you can get a good idea about what sorts of things are needed in an eyewitness report before you write one later on this week. So, we're going to start looking at this lesson, the features of an eyewitness report. And I've got a real eyewitness report from one of those things that we've just talked about, a natural disaster. So, as we have a look at that eyewitness report that happened from that natural disaster, I want you to be thinking about 3 different questions while I'm reading that to you. So, why do you think this eyewitness report has been written? What is the purpose of the eyewitness report? And what sorts of things does it need to include? Okay, so you can see this eyewitness report was written in a place called Thailand. Okay, and this eyewitness report has been written after a tsunami that happened in Thailand quite a few years ago now, but it was a big disaster that happened to lots and lots of people living in that area, where a great big wave had caused lots of damage and sadly lots of people to lose their lives. And this is the eyewitness report from that tsunami. 11 of us were travelling by speedboat to Phi Phi in Thailand. One minute we were sunbathing and snorkeling, and the next we were literally running for our lives up the shore in the mists of yells of big wave, and shouts of go, go from the Thai guides and drivers. First, a seething mass of broiling water, crowned by a white crest, came round the shore from one direction. Seconds later, another white wall rounded the other side of the island, the waves surging towards each other. This was the first wave, and it sent speedboats flying across the tops of the waves like matchsticks. The wave left as suddenly as it came. 10 minutes later, the Thais, who had been surveying the damage to their boats, now out inland, started racing along the shore, gesturing frantically and yelling, again, big wave, coming again. Now, that eyewitness report was written by somebody called Temi McLean in Thailand. So, in order to have been an eyewitness of that tsunami, she will have been there. She will have witnessed that event happening and just seeing the devastation and the terror that people will have experienced on that day. So now that we've read that eyewitness report, why do you think it would have been written? So obviously the eyewitness report has seen what has happened, and the reason that this eyewitness report has been written is to tell other people of the events that had happened for people that weren't there. So the eyewitness report has written it so that other people can get a really, really good idea of what it would have been like. So the purpose of the eyewitness report is to inform other people. and to tell other people exactly what happened so that information can be pieced together to try and find out answers and to try and perhaps help other people as well. And what does it need to include? Well, you can see there was quite a lot of speech included in there, things that people were saying. That's one of the features in an eyewitness report. It tells the events in the order. So we can see at the top there, it's got the first things that happened, where they were, description of the setting. As it moves a bit further down, it's starting to talk about the things that they've seen a little while later. Then it says seconds later, and then the first big wave, then 10 minutes later. So you can see the order of the paragraphs are written in the order of the events that the eyewitness has seen the events happening. You will also notice that there's lots of language that have been used there that we would call adverbs of time. This word here, first, so the thing that they've seen first of all, seconds later, 10 minutes later. So often new paragraphs are started with adverbs of time. So already some features that we've spotted. Let's have a look and see if there's any other common features in this second eyewitness report that may have been written by somebody that you know. So this is telling the eyewitness report of an event that took place in Fareham Shopping Centre. I'll have a read. I've got the same 3 questions for you to be thinking about again. Why has this eyewitness report been written? What's the purpose of the eyewitness report? And what sorts of things does it need? See if you can spot any similarities or differences between this one and the one that we've just read. So it all started when, on Saturday the 24th of January, I made the decision to wander into Fareham Town Centre in order to treat myself to a new pair of shoes. In the shopping mall it was busy, as usual, probably on account of it being market day. Crowds of people were pushing and jostling for space along the cramped walkways, annoying for me, as I couldn't easily get from shop to shop. Having just arrived at the junction situated next to Clark's shoe shop and Boots the chemist, a strange noise caught my attention, causing me to stop in my tracks. At first it sounded like a faint whirring, similar to a faulty machine. However, as it grew ever closer, the noise became far more sinister, an electronic cackle and buzz that could only be caused by a vehicle spinning out of control. Everyone, including me, craned their necks round urgently to see where the horrifying sounds were coming from. Suddenly, rounding the corner at high speeds, came what appeared to be an old-age pensioner riding a blue and white striped mobility scooter. However, this machine was clearly out of control. Terrified shoppers had to jump out of her path as she came speeding down the main walkway, weaving in and out of benches, pushchairs and stools. The elderly woman, who was obviously oblivious to the danger she was causing, simply hung onto her handlebars like a Formula One driver. "Stop her!" came the cries of the confused and befuddled security guards who were giving chase, but there was nothing that could be done. She was going far too fast to hear them. From where I was standing, I was lucky not to be mown down as she sped past me. Like a meteorite she hurtled past. I think she could have been travelling at around 50 miles per hour. Unfortunately, at the last second, the ancient lunatic appeared to lose control of the ill-fated scooter, which smashed straight into a car that had been selling lava lamps. An almighty crash followed. Everyone rushed over to get a better look at the damage. From the viewpoint I could see, the granny was unharmed, slightly miffed that she had scratched her scooter, but otherwise she was in good health. She got up and dusted herself down. However, the lava lamp stall had been much less fortunate. A river of molten coloured wax ran through the shopping centre, and the man who had been running the stall sat sobbing into his hands. The destruction was terrible. That eyewitness report was written by Miss Edelston. So, now that we've read that, why was it written? So we can see Miss Edelston has witnessed an event that has happened that other people need to know about. The purpose of the eyewitness report is to inform other people again, to tell them what she's seen, perhaps help people to come up with who might be at fault and who might need help. but also the features that it includes. There's some very similar features that we've seen from that last eyewitness report to this new one that we've read here. Again, the order that Miss Eddleston's written it in, first of all, it's looking at what happened first, then what came next, then what happened next, and then what happened finally. So you can see the order that each paragraph is written in is chronological order. Again, there are adverbs of time, words like suddenly, without warning. Okay, those sorts of adverbs of time tell us when things took place. Okay, so again, lots of similarities. This one's a little bit more detailed, and this is the sort of style that we're going to be writing in our eyewitness reports this week. Okay, so I've created a list of features for you that you are going to be using as your success criteria throughout the week. Okay, so in order to write a good eyewitness report, just like Miss Eddleston has done and the one that we've just looked at, all of these features need to be included. Okay, and this is the list of things that you are going to be using when you write yours later on in the week. So today, I want you to see if you can find each of these features in Miss Eddleston's example that we've just looked at. So you can pop over to the Google Drive, and Miss Eddleston's eyewitness report is there for you to have a look at. If you've got a printer, great, print it out and use highlighters or colouring pencils to be able to find each of the features. If you haven't, if you can't print it out, just do it on screen. You could use the highlighter on screen instead, on Microsoft Word perhaps, to help you to highlight it. But I'd like you to create a key for each of these features. So you might do the first feature there, they're written in first person. Every time you find an example of that, you might do that in yellow, for example. Everything that's written in past tense, finding those past tense verbs, they might all be in red, for example. Okay, so you're going to choose a different colour for each of the features. And you're going to work down this list of success criteria to see where in Miss Eddleston's report you can see it happening. Because once we've unpicked and analysed a really good example, like Miss Eddleston's one, we can then be experts to help us to write our own. Okay, so that's your task for today. I want you to go through the text on the Google Drive, Miss Eddleston's eyewitness report, and highlight and colour all of the different features that you can see here. Written in first person, so we know that it's I, me, who saw it, okay, in the eyewitness report. It's written in past tense, so we know that the eyewitness report has been written after the event has happened. It uses adverbs of time to order the writing. See where you can spot those in Miss Eddleston's example. It's written in chronological order, so the time order that it happened from start to finish. The first paragraph is an introduction, and it states where it happened, when it happened, and so on. The next paragraphs then describe the events in detail using adjectives and adverbs. There are prepositional phrases to show where the action happened. Okay, so preposition words to show you where it's happened. And then finally, the eyewitness's viewpoint of opinion, feelings, thoughts are also put in there as well. See if you can find those in Miss Eddleston's example as well. Okay, so that's it for your first session today. Have a good go at being detective experts for Miss Eddleston's eyewitness report, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good luck.